Today I'll talk about why less is more is extremely important for your e-commerce store. So last month, I had a new client who has this e-commerce store, and she wanted to prepare for the Christmas sales and the Black Friday sales. But one of the things that I was looking at using analytics was looking at the product type. So this e-commerce store sells dresses. For each design of the dresses, there was at least 10 different colors for each type of dresses. And what I recommended for her was to cut down on the number of colors. Let me tell you why this is so important. The more choices or options you give to your customers, the longer they're going to take to decide. This thinking about which color do they want and selecting them would result in a decision paralysis. Let me share with you one of my little story when I usually go to an ice cream shop. So when I go to an ice cream store, especially the Italian gelatos, it's really nice. And there's always about 20 tubs of ice cream there. So I'll spend some time looking at each and every single color and looking at the words, flavor, and then I'll shortlist maybe perhaps 5 or 6. And then I'm like looking at each one of them and I'm not sure, and then I request to try some of the flavors. At one point, I would still be indecisive between like 2 to 3 flavors. And then I'm standing there and everyone's like waiting for me. The queue behind me is growing. It just sort of like frustrates me at some point that I would, sometimes even decide not to buy any ice cream at all because it was just too much decision to make. And then I get stressed when the queue behind me gets really long. Going back to the client I was working with, essentially when she put out that many different colors for a particular dress design, it becomes difficult for someone to actually make a decision about which color dress that she actually wants. If you have, let's say, like 10 to 20 different colors for this particular design, you realize you need to put like a different drop-down box. If someone is actually buying on your mobile, which most people do that nowadays, making purchases on their mobile, it's very difficult for them to scroll for 10 different colors or 20 different colors on this little drop-down box, and they'll need to scroll up and down. Sometimes when the scrolling takes too long, you might even forget what color you were looking at. And the other thing is about the colors on this digital screen is that if the color difference is so subtle, let's say like a jeans blue or like a baby blue or royal blue, they look quite similar if someone's phone doesn't have that quite high resolution. So they can't really make up their mind and they can't really decide if it's a color that they really want. So let's say if they choose like a color, shade of blue, which doesn't look quite the same on their phone as compared to when they receive the product. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to request for a return. So you don't want that. And what you could do from analytics itself is that under the e-commerce section, you can actually see what are the top selling colors. From there, you can narrow down to the top colors that most people would likely want to buy, because usually if they buy like a dress, it would match their bag, and depends on the occasion that they're dressing up for. So there's specific colors, let's say like black would definitely likely be one of like the top popular colors that they're looking at. And if there is enough demand for a specific color, then you can think about perhaps increasing your range for that particular design. If not, it's much better to stick with maybe 4 to 5 different colors for the product that you're selling. Also, what you could do is, for example, you could sell specific colors that people would wear during a particular season. And in this way, you create exclusivity. So people get really excited. Say, for example, you might be selling like a spring colors for dresses that people will wear in spring, and versus maybe a more dark dress for like an evening dress. So in this case, when you only limit the number of colors to a certain selection, it makes it much easier for people to make a decision to buy, and it helps you to make a sale more quickly. So what do you think about less is more? How many different options or color or design do you have for a particular product? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to hear from you. So if you're an e-commerce shop owner, whether you have Shopify or BigCommerce or WooCommerce, you would definitely want to get the most out of your analytics so you know exactly what you can do to double up your revenue. I have this upcoming course called Google Analytics for Small Business. You can sign up in the waitlist below, or if you are watching this video at a much later date, you can also go straight to the link to sign up for this course. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.